For decades, Democrats and Republicans take turns pretending they care about immigration. We've had blue majorities, we've had red majorities, we've had split governments, and no one has ever taken it serious and fixed our immigration issue. Now we got Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett on the House floor going hard for immigration and illegal immigrant rights. Now here's my question. If both sides pretend to care so much, how come when they were in power, and they both have been several times over the past few decades, why haven't they fixed this system? Because to me, it doesn't look like compassion. It looks like political theater. Let's get it popping.
Thank you so much to the ranking member and again to the mayor for calling this. But let me be clear. Donald Trump is running the most openly racist immigration regime in modern American history. I've said it once and I'll say it again. Donald Trump's mass deportation system makes me think of what a modern day slave patrol would look like. Slave patrols were armed groups empowered by the government to control, intimidate, and terrorize people solely based on color. That's what's happening now. Donald Trump is sending mass agents without warrants into communities of color to terrorize the people who live there. And the reason that I want to make sure that I draw out this link, because we heard Maxine say that Black and brown is coming together. I want to be clear about this. This should not just be the immigrant community. This should be all of us united, because we know united we stand, divided we fall. And unfortunately, this last election, we allowed ourselves to be divided. Now, Ms. Velez, it's my understanding that you were detained by federal agents while you were on your way to work. Is that correct? Did any of these agents present you with a warrant?
No.
An explanation?
No.
Did they do anything other than illegally detain and arrest you?
Yeah.
Did they even identify themselves?
No, they did not.
Okay. Donald Trump has created an environment where these agents believe they are above the law.
And that is an environment that is unsavory, and nobody thinks that we should be living under it, but it existed before those troops hit the streets. It existed before the illegal immigrants were being pulled over on their way to work. Other groups who live in this country have had to live through that. The policing is too heavy in the country. We can't sit here and act like only the illegal immigrants are suffering and black people need to go out in the streets and fight for them. We need to go out in the streets and fight for our damn self as far as policing goes. But it's hard to believe that people come here illegally and we feel they have a right to question police officers, law-abiding police officers who are doing what they're asked to do. Whether we all agree with it or not is a whole nother story, but you got people who are doing what they're asked to do, and you got other people saying you're breaking the law, you're doing things that are bad, and you're a mean person, and they're doing their job. It may not be what Jasmine Crockett wants to see done, obviously. The Democrats have a whole nother take, and it ain't good either. What if we listened to the Democrats? We'd have open borders. We'd have cities that would be called sanctuary, and sanctuary citizens in those cities receive more rights than people who are citizens of the United States. I'm a citizen of the United States. I've been pulled over and arrested. I've had my car searched against my will, and I've never had a congressperson, a district attorney, a judge, or anybody else ask me, did I feel my constitutional rights were being impeded when this police officer searched my car without my permission? He said I gave him permission. I said I didn't. How do you prove that? How do you get to truth? Well, he's a police officer and I wasn't. So that's how we determined who was telling the truth on that one. And there was nothing in my car that would have sent most normal citizens to prison or away for a long time. And I didn't get arrested or sent away for a long time. I was out the next morning. But what an inconvenience for a citizen of this country to have to undergo that kind of treatment. And we're worried about people who have entered the country illegally, and it's only so much that we can do because there absolutely has to be recourse in a law that, I mean, you can't wait until they come over here and murder someone before you can arrest them. As long as they come and go to work every day, you're just going to just accept them into the country as citizens. And if that's where the bar is, then we need to say it. And don't make us feel like we're fighting to make these illegal immigrants citizens, and you never have a plan to do that. We don't want to fight for them to be left alone, and we don't want to fight for them to be questioning the police and acting like they have the authority. We want them to get citizenship or either not get citizenship. But we need to know clearly which side the Democrats stand on, because they're not being very clear with this immigration fight. Jasmine Crockett just wants them to be left alone. Well, you can't just leave them alone and send them to these jobs where they don't get health care. And they have to be going to see doctors. They are having children. They have accidents at work. How is this being taken care of? Well, she talks about it like a child without knowing the intimate details. This is a congresswoman. She should know what the Democrats' plan is and say it so we can go further than hands off, leave them alone. Hands off, leave them alone, and this is why. But we can't just say hands off, leave them alone, and you guys don't have a plan for them to be here legally in our cities as our neighbors. What do you think the United States would be like if Jasmine Crockett was up there speaking just as she is, but not for black and brown to unite, but for brown and Jews to unite? The Jews should come and help the illegal immigrants. They have more resources than black people. Why don't they knock on their door and say, hey, can you give us a hand? You once were the downtrodden. You once were understand what it's like to be in a position similar to that. You don't hear that, do you? They come to black people who have the least to give and ask us to help the illegal immigrants who have better rights and more rights and a better opportunity on the beginning path into the United States than we had. What position are we to help them? Where are we at in this United States that puts us in a place to be able to help these people and makes Jasmine Crockett get up there and act like Maxine Waters can say black and brown, and that's going to mean something? If you understand what it's like being in a union in the United States of America in a sanctuary city, then you will see how they circle the wagons around the illegal immigrants and act as if unions have done everything and all that they're going to do for black people. They have black councils, they have groups that meet, but there is no black agenda in the union movement in America. And the unions are too close to the Democratic Party for us to sit back and be foolish and to get union shop steward jobs only to defend a bunch of illegal immigrants, and not our workplaces, but workplaces that we're trying to unionize for illegal immigrants. I did it. I assisted in unionizing a workplace for illegal immigrants, and we have citizens in the United States that can't even get unionized. I mean, it's a lot. And Jasmine Crockett acts like her and Maxine Waters just get to sit back and put stick pins on a board, and we're supposed to all just coalesce around that. Not at all.
And one of the things that the ranking member just said was that there's a level of dehumanization. It is in that dehumanization, whether we are talking about the language they use to describe human beings, or whether we talk about the fact that they don't feel as if certain people are entitled to their constitutional rights. That is why Ms. Velez, unfortunately, was denied her constitutional rights, which we know she was supposed to enjoy in, just like those in our immigrant community.
And we're talking too much about this constitutional rights of illegal immigrants. A lot of people don't agree that they have the same constitutional rights that most citizens in the United States do. Members of the Supreme Court do. They believe they have, because it means being present, being physically in the United States entitles you to certain rights. And that's what they're standing by. But we were in the United States as black people before the Constitution was written, before there was a Constitution, and we still weren't included in it. We had to come up as an amendment. So when you think about that, and how come a country that has realized its mistakes can't correct them? There should be no 14, 15, 16, 20, no other amendments. The Constitution should read clear and cover everybody. If a person who is a citizen in the United States would meet certain criteria and race isn't one of them, they should have the right to vote. They should have the right to move about the country freely. They should have the right to own businesses. They should have the right to have firearms. And not anybody should be excluded unless it's a real reason, like they are in a prison, in a cell, mentally unstable. But just because a person committed a crime, went to prison, served their time, and came back, they can never have a gun again in the United States of America in most jurisdictions. What is that? What is that? When an illegal immigrant can come over here and have a firearm and get caught with it and not be looking at the same kind of time that a citizen of the United States who is not currently being charged, currently on probation, currently under any kind of jurisdiction for trouble other than his past conviction that he served out a sentence and possibly a fine for. And this person has to worry about more than an illegal immigrant. And she's up there screaming to God that the illegal immigrants get even more help.
But this isn't just that this is the most openly racist immigration regime in modern day history. It is also the most violent and deadly immigration regime in decades. More people have died this year in ISIS custody than in any year since the early 2000s, and the year is not over. Ms. Kozlowski, talk to me about the disturbing reports of unsanitary and inhumane conditions, which are partly responsible for the increase in deaths at the federal detention facilities.
And I'll bet you some of the cleanliness and inhumane conditions and the like, and maybe even overcrowding could be a big part of some of the issues. But have you been to a regular prison that they house United States citizens in? It ain't no walk in the park. And it's probably less humane than where they have those people staying, or damn sure on par with it. Those are the things our politicians need to be talking about as well. Especially when you know a particular group of people is disproportionately being locked up. And you're going to get up there and advocate for illegal immigrants, which they do need advocates, and they do have advocates. And they have a whole lot of fight going on for their cause. And there's a whole lot of other people who need help, who need to be represented, who need our congressional people to get up there and speak with good sense and not just say things that are politically focused against Trump likes this, we don't. So I'm going to get up there and I'm going to hammer it hard. I'm going to make him look like the most racist president in modern times. That's deep coming from a black woman. That's deep for a black woman to get up there and need illegal immigrants to use as part of her argument to cast Trump as one of the most racist presidents in modern history. As if we don't have enough examples of that. A caste system that has been created in these modern times that sends black men to prison at a higher rate and for longer times. Everybody knows it. And it still goes on. Nobody figured it out and said, let's fix it. Let's stop. Let's not make it better. Let's fix it. Make it better. Better for who? If you're still in prison, they didn't make it better for you when you should be out. When there's no reason for you to be in prison except for you're making them money. That there's no reason. And those are the things that she can be talking about, and so many other things. And police brutality and fear and people dying in the hands of custody. Count the amount of black people who have died in prisons in the care of a prison authority anywhere in the United States. County, federal, state, any of them. They need to be investigated. They need to be turned around and doing different things and making the conditions more humane for the legal immigrants as well. But the illegal immigrants, and being an illegal immigrant, an asylum seeker, or however they came, it's very unfortunate for them that the United States ain't got their shit together. And you come here and you have to deal with it as an illegal immigrant, and your life is a little shaky and a little uncertain, but that is what comes with being an illegal immigrant. That sounds so cold and unfeeling, but it isn't. Because if I care too much about anybody, then I'm not leaving very much room to care for myself and my folks who don't have very much. And you would listen to Jasmine Crockett and Maxine Waters and Hakeem Jeffries and all of them. And they would make you think that black people in the country are good. We good. We need to find out who else need help so we can get them where we're at, which is nowhere.
The conditions that we see in the federal detention centers, from holding facilities to facilities across the country, are absolutely deplorable. They are deadly, as you have pointed out. But we see conditions where people are denied medical care, where people are harmed while in custody, where people are held incommunicado from their families.
All of the things she's saying happen to people in prison in the United States of America. And it's very unfortunate. But if Trump had sent troops into the city and said, arrest all Asians, all of them. Every time he said Asian, I want them arrested. Now, that's something that we can't understand, because it's like, why did he pick Asians? Why are they arresting all the Asians? He picked a legal reason to contact these people and process them, either to stay into the country or to be deported, because they fall under the status of undocumented. And if that's something that his administration isn't going to tolerate, it's unfair to act like this man don't know what he's doing because he picked something that he wants to key down on. Obama picked LGBTQ plus and healthcare. Those are his choices. And they fought him tooth and nail, and he did what he did, and they did what they did, and it is what it is. And it's going to be that way this time. But I feel a president has a lot of power, and he should exercise it. He's voted in for 4 years. You cannot get in there messing around. You got to let it go. And I feel that all presidents realize this. That's why they take their issues and push them to the front and stand behind them. That's their agenda. That's what they want to see pass. And it's just so hard to see this lady up here pleading and crying about the treatment of the illegal immigrants. And if she takes out the word illegal immigrants and puts in black or puts in poor or puts in a lot of other names that would be synonymous with illegal immigrant, it will sound the same. And we feel bad for anybody being taken away from their family. But to call it illegal and to make these guys look like they're taking orders that aren't legal, it seems like a stop should be put to this immediately if it's illegal. And if it is illegal, then they don't have any reason to fix anything in Congress. It's been fixed. It's been resolved. The Democrats have the answer. Leave the immigrants alone. Let them stay here. Let them come here as much as they want, and let them work under the table. Let them get injured at work. Let the employers get away with not dealing with it the way OSHA and all these other agencies that we all have to deal with. The regulations, adhering to them, complying with them. And there's a group of people in this country who aren't being treated that way. They're not being given the same safety rules, safety precautions, the same equipment, the same opportunities to go home safe each day. And that's a fact, because we know how hard it is when you're in a workplace where all of these things and mechanisms are in place. So what do you think it's like being here as an illegal immigrant, and you think you got it good if you just get back and forth to work each day and aren't pulled over by an ICE agent, but you're not thinking about the abuse and how you're being done in your job. by not being given Medicare, by not being paid the wage they'd be paying someone if they were a citizen of this country, by not having the benefits of being a citizen of the United States. And when you go in an emergency room, you have to go in as an undocumented person and no health care. What happened? My shoulder's been hurting. I heard it at work 2 days ago, and it's just getting worse. Okay, they put you in there and they help you out. You can't do workers' comp. They can't just send you home with a shoulder that's just horrible and you're in excruciating pain. And we gotta stop allowing our politicians to make it sound like they care when they're just trying to score political points against Donald Trump. That's it. And that's all. This is a good one, and they're going to hang on to it. Epstein, that's another good one, and they're going to jump in there and hang on to it. Everything they find where they can get a significant amount of the public to agree, they think they got a winner. They think that's reason enough for us to just be so happy that Trump is so terrible so we can restore power to the Democrats and everything back to the way it was. Didn't we just love it? We loved it so much that Trump got elected.
What we are seeing right now are the most horrific conditions, and they are simply designed to get people to give up on their cases. They're intentionally cruel, being kept away from their families. In some cases, we've seen people in the midst of chemotherapy treatments, people on dialysis who are being held in conditions where they don't have access to bathrooms, where they're given rotten food, where they're in places that are so crowded, rooms that are meant for just a dozen people with 60 people in them, that they can't even lay down.
That's interesting that she was talking about the pre-existing conditions that some of these inmates had. If you go in need of dialysis, and you get deported or held in one of the facilities, you're not able to get your dialysis on normal, and you could possibly die. You may have diabetes. You may have a whole lot of other issues. But when you were on the street, how were you taking care of that? Where's the health care coming from? These companies are not paying health care to illegal immigrants. The jobs that they hired them to do are not paying benefits. So where are they getting that dialysis? Where are they getting the health care? Who had them on the medication that they were on for their diabetes or their heart or their hypertension? Where's this come from? We need to figure this out and understand it so we can see if we're just bullshitting here. Is it already legal and they just won't say it? Is that what it is? Because that's what the Democrats are telling us pretty much. Trump is the bad guy. Trump is doing the wrong shit. These troops out in the streets is not the right way. Is it illegal? Because if it is, tell us the truth so we can make sense out of this. Otherwise, hearing this lady whine and cry about what almost any citizen in the United States who've ever had a family member arrested could get up there and do. They could get up there and do it. They took him away from the family. He didn't get to stay with the family. Oh, and he has a medical condition, and I don't think they're taking care of that. And he has a special diet. Oh, and he has another religion. Oh, and I mean, well, damn. You might have should have stayed in your native country if you got all these requirements.
Despite their delicate medical conditions.
Thank you so much. Listen, Donald Trump has dehumanized people of color for decades. I want y'all to understand this is who he is. This is an actual feature of what it is to be Donald Trump instead of...
And I'm going to jump in on that one only because I hear so much bad about the Trump regime and the MAGA and all this shit that's going on with them that they act like we had it good in this country over these last several decades. Like it's just been so wonderful. And Trump came along and reminded us what racism and what they call them slave catchers or whatever she called them look like. We didn't know none of this stuff, and then Trump came back, and this is something that had been long in our history, and black people get jobs at the same rate white people do. Black people own businesses at the same rate white people do. Black people's bank accounts and what they leave to their family when they die is about the same as... No, none of that is true. So what is she up here talking about? What has Trump done to set us back further than we already have been set back? He might be a little harder to take for a wider group of people. But believe me, he's hard for us to take too. But maybe he's hard for some other people to take too, and it requires more whining or more screaming and screeching about it. But it does not at all mean Donald Trump has come along, is doing anything that very many of these other presidents haven't done. Obama included. Excluded people, alienated people, and pushed their agenda through. It happens. And we, unfortunately, have to deal with it as a group, no matter who's in office. If the guy we vote for wins, we still get screwed. If the guy we don't vote for wins, we still get screwed. So it's not a real good proposition. And we have our politicians trying to get us to go in another direction to support something that's not going to benefit us. If she could tell us in a quick sentence or two how it's going to benefit us, then that would be helpful. And not because you're saving your neighbor. You don't pay your neighbor's bill and your neighbors don't pay yours. A good neighbor is somebody who mind their business, who don't infringe on your rights, who's respectful, courteous, and pleasant to live next to. It ain't about going out in the street and picketing because your neighbor got a traffic ticket or because you found out your neighbor's an illegal immigrant you didn't know, and now all of a sudden you're supposed to be out in the street risking yours. You're black. Black people should never go out in the streets and picket and do all that stuff. We have way more power when we're quiet. We have way more power when we're organized. And we don't need to be on the street drawing attention to ourselves for something that is not going to benefit us in any way. And I'm very disappointed in Jasmine Crockett and those like her who continue to pull at us to do something that's not going to help us. It's political. And even if it did come out successfully, her attempts at whatever the hell she's trying to do, what's in it for us? Let's say everything she's trying to do goes through. We defeat Trump. He falls off the mountain, breaks his back, and we win. And then we get somebody who we like back in there, and our politicians back in place, and they start restoring these offices and all this charity around the world. And what do we get for that? What is our benefit? I don't see the benefit. And that's why, as a politician who is voted in by United States citizens, the fight needs to be centered around United States citizens more than it has been.
A flaw. He demanded the execution of innocent black boys. He has been sued many times for racial discrimination. He called African nations shithole countries. He said that, quote, immigrants poison the blood of our country. And he's repeatedly refused to denounce white supremacy. In fact, he's hired many white supremacists to work in this administration. And now they're carrying out this racist and violent mass deportation, and it is destroying our country. LA, we stand.
Yeah. But only the people who he's appointed are the white supremacists. We don't have senators, we don't have Supreme Court justices, and we don't have Congress people who are white supremacists. Of course we do. And that's why it's very bad for her to get up there and make it look like Donald Trump is taking us back to a terrible place, or he's introducing racism to us for the first time, or some of the people who never knew what it was. Don't buy that. It may not be out in your face. It may be delivered in a different way, but it's there. It's very much there. And it's very disingenuous for her to do what she's trying to do here just to gain a point, to make a point, to win an argument, and to be able to have something to go up against. And immigration, like I said, is a great one. Right now, if she was fighting hard for black people and talking a whole bunch of stuff for black people, it wouldn't be very popular. We ain't really popular right now for some reason. I don't understand it. Not even with ourselves. And she knows it. And that's why she's up there trying to make black and brown some kind of fictitious relationship that it ain't. It is what it is. We have Mexican neighbors. We have Mexican folks in our families. They have black folks in their families. We live amongst each other in these communities and in these workplaces and in society. And everything is cool. We just don't need our politicians to continue to make it harder on us than it has to be. Why do we have to have a conversation about illegal immigrants if our priority was secure and safe borders and allowing people into this country who are seeking asylum or just want to move to America and meet whatever criteria our Congress has come up with? That don't sound like too bad of a proposition. If it has to be done the way we've done it, why does it have to be done that way? Why does the country have to be run that horribly to just open the floodgates like that? That's not a well-run country. And this is not a politician who was a part of a well-run country. With some of the things that have come out of Jasmine Crockett's mouth, it's embarrassing. Jasmine Crockett knows better. Right now, she is just being straight political. She ain't got nothing to do with anything real. She's just jumping on the blue team, and they going for it. And they might win. But I just want to know, when they do, what do we get? When they win, what do we get?
And with you, and we stand with the rest of this country. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I'm just not a fan. And I'm not a fan because she's all over the place. She was an outcast. She came into the Democratic Party as a new congresswoman, and she was on shaky legs. She didn't even know if she wanted to do this. They didn't treat her well with open arms. She kind of felt a little on the outside, maybe not what she expected. And then when they started to make their way over to her, and Kamala came over and put her arms around her and gave her something to do. You can be my little loud black voice on the left. You know, you can say shit no one else can say. You can be offensive. You can be ignorant. You can do all kind of shit that other people can't do. And then you can assign it to immigration, or you can assign it to anything. Just don't assign it to nothing black. And she cool with that. And I'm not. And I think that's what's going to be a big issue with Jasmine Crockett and those like her. We got to get them out of here. We need people up there who are going to represent, who are going to really understand why they're there, and not get yourself in a position that you be like, oh shit, I didn't think I was going to make it this high. Now I have people who put me here that I got to pay back. So I can't pay my people. I can't help my people. I can't do anything for my people because I have folks who helped me get here. Damn those folks who look like me. I gotta stick with that Democratic Party and go in the direction that they feel we should be going in, which is black people is good. And the Democrats just won't say it. I wish they'd just say it, so then we could have it out in the open, and then some black people who don't believe it would believe it. They have no plan for us. Their plan is for us to continue to vote for them and keep them in power, and they'll protect us from the Republicans. That's the plan. Like, comment, share. Please subscribe, and we'll see you on the next Black Popcorn.